Hayden.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet SkyFF, the world where everything revolves around £50,000.
Do you want to do that again?
FPL was gonna roll off the tongue there, James. But Planet SkyFF today, Wednesday, and
all right, talk about Monday night, Suj. Come on.
It's not even Monday night; it's Monday evening, right? I go to the
ain't Monday night and Monday evening the same thing.
I train on Mondays, so finish work at 5:45. I need to be out of my house by 6:15 to get to the gym on time for 7.
Do you think everybody already knows what you're about to say?
Yeah. I missed the transfer and the captaincy. So from about 4:15, I didn't even remember there was a football game on Monday night. Like, it was just so low on my list of priorities. Got home, got changed, ate quickly, ran out of the house, bombed it down to the gym, made it to class on time. Cool, 2 hours, great. 9:10 finished there at the club. I'm like, fuck, there was a game today. And then I was like, okay, do I bother opening my phone? Because I would have bought Maddison and captained him. That was always the plan. And keep him for Friday and then move him on to Zaha. Cool. Open the app. And at the time it was 3-0 to Leicester. He's hurt me here. He has. And he had 2 goals at 3-0. So then...
And an assist.
No, they hadn't got the assist at this point.
Oh, at that point, okay.
So I'm like, fine, take it on the chin. I'm now falling behind a little bit, getting the car, driving home. Whilst I'm driving home, Maddison plays it in. Daka with a flick. Oh, fuck off, mate. Here we go. In the end, I thought it was going to end up being a 50-odd pointer like Haaland's haul.
Well, if there'd been man of the match, bring it back. No, don't bring it
back. Yeah, not great. Interestingly, if we took the whole weekend as a whole, I started the weekend about 4,000. I went up after Saturday to 3,000, and that was with a captaincy blank. And we'll talk about these blanks in a second. I had VVD because I didn't own Salah. So I went with VVD.
So you got 0 for captain on Saturday?
0 for captain on Saturday.
Wow, yeah.
Sunday we all had Haaland.
Yes.
Except 2 people in the top 1,000. Who are you?
There's 1 now.
Okay, who are you? And then on the Monday, obviously, Neco Williams. So
I think what the point is, how incredible is it that someone's in the top 1,000 and doesn't own him?
Haaland. So after Sunday and Haaland's haul, because Cancelo and Rodri were 0 point for both of them for me, I dropped back down to 4.5k. And then Neco Williams only with -2. I've dropped back to 7.5. But what's your rank overall?
Just under 2,000 now. It's 2,040.
And that's 40 points. And I've got the 10 odd. What are you, 37 transfers?
36 now.
Yeah, so I'm 47. So, like, look, don't get me wrong. I'm annoyed about it, and I'd rather have the 30 odd points because I'd be 2,000 odd.
Oh, I'd rather have them transfers and be in your position.
Yeah. But I'd be 46 transfers and 2,000 rather than 7,500 with 2 transfers. It was not a season-ending disaster because of where we are in the season, like 8 weeks in or whatever.
Nah,
it was a shit. It was a shit mistake. I'll take it on the chin. But what's more frustrating, obviously, Padinho I knew was going to miss this weekend. Yeah. 0 points. Rodri I didn't expect to not show up.
No, that's
0
true.
points. João Cancelo in a 6-3 win. 0 points. Yeah. Captain Virgil van Dijk, 0 points. Neco Williams, -2 as a captain.
Because you ended up captaining him as well.
I'd obviously bust it on him as well.
So the fact that you didn't buy Maddison actually didn't cost you 36 points, actually cost you 37.
Wow.
For an extra captaincy point.
Yeah. So to end up the week, I've got 90 points. I think it's cool. Like, everybody, Kane got 9 points, Jesus 10. Bowen 10, David Raya 9, Casado 2.0 was a bit crap.
Did he get tackled here or something, Casado?
Who? No, nothing. 2 points.
I think he was close. I'm going to check that anyway. Go on.
And obviously King Erling Haaland with 52 points. So yeah, like annoyed, but not enough that I'm gonna go on Twitter and quit FPL and leave Twitter and start again next season and everything else that happens when people have bad.
It's just going to be when you finish first overall.
Right?
It's just going to be an even greater story, I think.
When I win,
yeah.
What the hell are you lot going to do when I start trying? What are you going to do? You're all done for when I actually start trying. I'm okay. That daisy chain move, Maddison to Zaha, that was my main plan.
So what are you doing now?
Is screwed up now. I don't know. We need to talk about it. This is why we have a podcast. Okay. This is what the podcast is for. And Rodri is a potential problem. We don't know what the prognosis is.
I don't think it's bad. I mean, look, obviously,
let's see
playing
what
in the
tonight.
Champions League tonight. Yeah.
If he plays tonight, problem solved, all good. But if he doesn't, then there's a decision to be made.
That might be the move for you, Suj, in terms of if you want Wilf Sunday, value's similar, isn't it? Wilf's obviously a bit cheaper than Rodri, so obviously affordable.
And keep Jesus.
Then it's Liverpool where he could hit passing tiers, but you don't have huge expectations for that. Then obviously they blank in the midweek. Then you've got the good fixtures at the end, where there could be a little bit of rotation maybe anyway. So, I mean, that's probably the move for you. I think you're not getting rid of Bowen because he's playing Fulham at home on the day.
Yeah, no chance.
Casado, presumably, you wouldn't be able to afford it, and B, that's probably your Brentford Brighton captaincy at the moment.
David Raya.
Oh, David Raya. So he could go, but that's
Casado, I
want
to move on. Casado is so cheap in this game at the moment. So, yeah, I think Rodri to Palace to Zaha gives me an asset.
Who have you got up front?
Jesus, Kane, and Haaland. Jesus is expendable, but not really.
So were you going to?
Jesus to Maddison.
Oh, you were going to go Jesus to Maddison, yeah.
To Zaha, yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to do with Jesus now then?
I'll hold him for the Liverpool game, I think. Home fixture.
I mean...
I expect him to return. I don't expect him to haul, but I expect him to return.
No, we'll get onto it at some point. Captaincy on Sunday is really interesting because I think there are a lot of runners and not an obvious, this is the definite one to go for on Sunday, actually. And it's 7 or 8 players you could make a real case for on Sunday.
I can come off him after because they play blank then midweek, right? I can come off him after the Leeds game or...
Doesn't really work.
No. We'll see with Jesus now.
You could. I mean, guess in theory, if you went Jesus to Zaha, if you didn't go now, waited, miss Leeds and Leicester. After Leeds, you'd go to Zaha on the Tuesday night, home to Wolves. Then you've got Everton away before Jesus plays again against Southampton.
Yeah, but
having gone that far, I think you're keeping Jesus, I think.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about these transfers, stacking up these transfers in the bank, because I will use them.
You sure?
I will use them. Yeah.
Should tell you about my week, sir.
Yes.
126 for myself, which essentially comes from 4 players. I captained Mo Salah on Saturday for 14 points, Jared Bowen 10 points Saturday, and then the big hauls from Haaland and Maddison. That's a combined 88 points from those 2 players. So my free captaincies this week were worth 102, and there'll certainly be listeners and viewers who've got more than 102 from the free captaincies. Nothing elsewhere. 0 for Cancelo, -1s for Dyer and Neco Williams, 3 for Williams Saliba, 2 for Nick Pope. Paulinho obviously didn't play, 1 pointer, Ivan Toney. Okay, week. Okay, I made the Jesus to Maddison move, which I'd said I was obviously quite popular. Likely next move in my mind is Eric Dyer to Wilfried Zaha on Sunday. Part of the debate, and I think we'll come on to it, is obviously what to do with Monday night as well. Should we look at some of these games from the weekend first, and just raise a few pointers from them, Suj? So
let's talk about the likes of Neco Williams, because I own Neco Williams on Monday. So if when we get down to captaincy, because I wanted to make the point around whether or not these holding shit players for captaincy ever is worth it. But yeah, we can talk about it when we get to captaincy.
Judging by some of his recent returns, the answer to that would obviously be
no,
wouldn't it? I mean, he's got, over the last 4 Nottingham Forest games, of which he has started all of them, -1.
Yeah, and it's at that point, transferring him out and buying him back to almost anyone would have almost made enough points to make it worth it if you pick a decent player. So We've done this before where you hold a player because you want him for captaincy, but for 3 or 4 weeks, and in the intervening, they're just shit. And then you're like, why do I bother holding a player for captaincy? Do I really want to? Like, if I could have moved off Neco Williams a while ago, and at that point, like, if I really wanted to, on Monday, I could just go from Jesus to Watkins and daisy chain that for some reason somewhere. And I'm sure I would have ended up with more points somewhere along the line. I feel like holding on to shit players for captaincy is a mistake that we always seem to come back to. Is it ever really worth it?
Yes. All I'd say is, at this moment, Villa are pretty shit as well.
Yeah. That might not be.
I don't think it's beyond Forest to beat them on Monday night. One move I am considering, and I'm going to give this a little bit of thought once the Champions League games have gone by tonight, and also there's a Jared Bowen owner tomorrow night as well. I'm thinking about Williams to Lewis Dunk on Saturday, which is a bit wild.
Home to Tottenham, you mean? Saturday before Williams plays?
Yes.
But you don't need him for you need him for captaincy?
No.
Who have you got there?
What?
Who have you got for captaincy on Monday night then?
It would be no one.
Skip it.
No, there's an alternative move I'm considering. Is Nick Pope to Emi Martinez.
Okay.
I'd say why I'm part thinking that. I don't think that Martinez is a better shout than Pope, but you know me, I like keeper moves in terms of covering captaincy and stuff. I quite like that. It's not, I guess you'd say, optimal play to take out a player who would be your captain, but clearly that's becoming a pain. And the thing with Williams is, if I keep him, I'm not sure when I'm moving. Well, I do know when I'm moving. It's Wednesday the 19th, so I'll have another 2 games of Williams. Might be sitting there. He might get me -2 over the next 3 games or something, so just the point.
Yeah, Brighton's the Tuesday game, right?
It would make sense. I mean, I could, of course, logically as well, just captain Williams on Monday and go, right, that's enough. Buy Lewis Dunk Friday night for Brighton Brentford. It's probably a more likely way of looking around that, for example. Or alternatively, keep Williams for Wolves, perhaps buy Wesley Fofana when Chelsea go to Aston Villa on Sunday the 16th. I've got money in the bank to go up from him, and that's not going to affect any of my planned moves going forward. It wouldn't affect me getting Wilfried Zaha, for example. But yeah, it's more on what I've researched on De Zerbi, what we've seen at the weekend. Only one centre-back hit passing tier at Anfield on Saturday, and it wasn't Virgil van Dijk or Joel Matip, mate.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why Lewis Dunk over Fofana or even Gahey or Anderson at Palace at the moment.
Dunk this is going to go now.
He's back, yeah?
He's back.
Because he's been a long time where we've been talking about these Brighton passing tiers are just not there for the defenders.
Yeah, because they changed the way they were playing and took up more counter-attacking style in pretty much from April under Graham Potter.
2 games in a row he's picked up passing. 3 games in a row he's picked up passing.
So it's been coming back anyway. Listen, you're a centre-back and you're picking up a passing tier at Anfield. That's bloody impressive. There's no guarantee that a Manchester City centre-back is going to pick up a passing tier at Anfield next weekend. And the fixtures we've got coming up. I look at Tottenham at the weekend. You'll know this because I said to you on Monday that I think they'll probably beat us at the weekend. He'll definitely hit passing tier against us. It's a certainty.
Yeah, you'll want to hit him on the counter. That's your style now.
Certainty. Brentford away, very much fancying passing tier. Forest at home at the moment would look like a certainty, and that's an extra coverage of another captaincy, potentially Tuesday 18th. Man City away, of course, little expectation. Chelsea at home, he might. Wolves away, he will. And Villa at home is the last day, and that's Brighton against Villa, Fulham against Man United. So there's another potential captaincy, and ticks off probably future problems. So Lewis Dunk is already kind of on my mind with, right, I need to react to this quite quickly, I think. Now, does it make sense to buy Lewis Dunk on Saturday for Neco Williams? No, it probably doesn't. But I like the Martinez move. That also covers that final Sunday as an alternative. So it gives me a couple of coverages there where I might have Paulinho, Dunk, and Martinez for that final day, and therefore I'm not kind of wasting a late transfer that I don't want to. And the fixtures aren't bad for Villa. Forest, Chelsea, Fulham, Brentford, Newcastle United, and then Brighton. It's not terrible. But I think I'm just leaning towards the idea of getting Will for Eric Dyer on Sunday, I think. And actually, it's a bit unconventional, but just getting Lewis Dunk in for Brentford and Brighton on the night.
Okay.
Then I have to make the call of whether I captain Dunk or Tony.
Right.
And it's inevitable if I move the captaincy to Dunk that Ivan Toney will go off. We know how this works.
Let's talk about some of these games. You've got any kind of passing tier or tackle tier or shot tier numbers or anything that came out that was eye-catching?
Yeah, we'll just cover off. I mean, I was at the Emirates on Saturday. Obviously, didn't go well for my team. I think William Saliba is absolutely outstanding. If anybody has still got doubts about him holding on to his place, he's Arsenal's best centre-back now. And I think if you've held this far at 7.4, and I think there was reason for people to potentially move off last weekend, he should just sit there now. Even more so, I think, for people like me who have moved off Gabriel Jesus. For those who've held Gabriel Jesus, I think it's same. I think you hold now. And I think Jesus is one of them that really falls into line of it's okay to captain at the weekend on Sunday, considering how Liverpool defend at the moment. Nothing from Tottenham statistically in terms of tiers. There were saves for Lloris, shots for Kane, obviously one of them a penalty, got his customary Emirates penalty. Kane, obviously, it's worth keeping in mind, Saturday the 15th, we've spoken about this a lot, Tottenham at home to Everton, it really does look like one for captaincy for Harry, despite Everton having the best defensive record. And if Mitrovic is injured, it's going to make my life a little bit awkward because part of my plan is probably Tony to Mitrovic and captain Mitrovic on Saturday the 15th. If I didn't end up working a route back to Harry, which I may not, then my alternatives that day would be Maddison or Wilfried Zaha, which is the lunchtime kickoff.
And I think you know if they're in the team. I don't think either are a bad shout in that game. That's probably a 2-2 or something.
I think they're reasonable. Maddison is now the third highest owned player in the top 1,000 currently. So.
Oh, wow.
Bournemouth Brentford, we're saying Neto picked up save points again. They do have a couple more good fixtures. There isn't really an entry point, though, unless I think a few might consider sort of Raya to Neto Saturday the 15th, maybe. Their run until the World Cup is not bad, Bournemouth. You're never going to use that as a captaincy. Mikkel Damsgaard came into the Brentford team. He was the only one to hit shot tier. They did change to a back four at Bournemouth, and we're never sure game to game whether they're going to do that. Back four is normally better for Tony, so bear that in mind. Palace Chelsea, huge number of passes for Thiago Silva. He was on passing tier 2 at half-time, Suj.
Oh, wow.
116 in total, which is the highest number so far this season for a defender. Wow. And Fofana got 89 as well, so comfortably in passing tier 2. They played a back four, which isn't necessarily always suitable to Thiago Silva. And I do think part of the strategy here was to keep Wilfried Zaha specifically quite quiet. I don't think there's a guarantee that they stay with a back four. What I would say is I think Fofana is probably ahead of Koulibaly in the pecking order, and from this point there's no real reason to expect that he won't stay in the team now. You will also have the benefit, if you are interested, of seeing Chelsea's lineup for the next 3 games if you want to go in at any point. Remember, there's no 12:30 game on Saturday, so if you've got an injury or you want to go in on Saturday, you want to go Williams to Fofana, for example, on Saturday, you'll get to see the Chelsea team against Wolves. It might be worth waiting one more as they play at Villa on Sunday the 16th. And I think Fofana might be a popular in at that point. It's worth saying, though, from that point, Chelsea's fixtures look a little bit more difficult. Villa away, Brentford away, United at home, Brighton away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away. I don't think there's a huge number of clean sheets in there. And they do have a habit at the moment of conceding 1 goal in every game. Zaha actually got tackle tier at the weekend, Suj. 5 tackles.
Wow. Okay.
Him and Reece James had a running battle. Wouldn't overly look into the statistics from Fulham and Newcastle at the weekend. There were just about passing tier points for Botman and Cher, but we should expect that as Fulham played with 10 men for over 80 minutes. They missed Paulinho. He will obviously make a difference. At time of recording, we don't have word on Mitrovic.
No.
I think that it's very possible that he wasn't 100% and they took him off because the game was lost. I think that's possible. I think he'll play this weekend, personally. As mentioned, Lewis Dunk passing tier at Anfield, 64 passes. Virgil van Dijk was 56, Joel Matip 35, and Adam Webster, Dunk's partner, was only 10 less, 54 for Webster as well. Dunk, though, is worth paying the extra, I think. Okay. Last year we had that real debate, didn't we, where there was the 1.4 difference between Webster and Dunk. The difference this time is not worth the saving, I don't think. I would go in for Lewis Dunk if buying between the two. Dunk is 7.9, Webster is 7.4. Pay the extra for Lewis Dunk, I think, would be the advice there. There was finally a shot here for Mohamed Salah, his first of the season. Did get a goal last night against Rangers as well. Leandro Trossard, 4 shots on target, and I don't think should be discounted from thinking
that's his first set of tier points all season, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's a new manager, Suj, so...
Okay, fine.
And I think he's 7.9, which is very reasonable price.
Yep.
He falls into line where you're getting, if you get Leandro Trossard, you're getting him in for his goal scoring potential, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's a good price, don't get me wrong, but he doesn't get any, he's the first tier points all season, so if he doesn't score a goal, you're likely to sit on a 2-pointer there. Same
price as Dunk. Would you have a preference?
Dunk.
I think so as well, and I think part of that preference would also come into unbelievably, the game was flipped. There are more midfield options now in terms of goal-scoring midfielders, Salah's, Bowen's, Maddison's, Zaha's.
If
you've got Paulinho, like I think a lot of people could end up with that sort of midfield 5. That's what I'm going to end up with come this weekend. So I think slight preference for Dunk, actually, because there aren't huge options at centre-back. But it's very viable to go with a back 3, I think, at the moment, say something like Dunk, Fofana, Saliba. And then you can really force in the money at the top end of the pitch if that's what you want to consider. Because the thing is as well with Cancelo at the moment, and obviously you can keep Cancelo alongside that, it's 11 million for a player who we're going to captain when Erling Haaland's not in the team.
Yep.
Because you can't go against him at the moment, really, can you? Haaland, I mean.
Not a chance.
So Cancelo arguably is possibly expendable to get rid of on Saturday. I don't plan to at the moment myself. Everton won at Southampton.
Saturday. After Saturday.
Yes, after Saturday. James Ward-Prowse hit a passing tier. Southampton are not doing anything spectacular at the moment. I noticed there was a tackle tier for Idrissa Gana Gay, who, going back to, I think, before we played, Suj, was a little bit of a darling amongst Sky community. He's 6.9.
Cheap.
It is cheap. I think it's not one for now. But he's an enabler I think you can keep on radar if you come into problems. Let's say Paulinho got injured. I think he's the sort of player we might start talking about quite quickly.
It's funny though. I mean, like when you look at fixtures coming up with players like that, where you're looking for tackle tier, you almost want them to play some better teams rather than fodder, because you know he's going to be active and making tackles. He might get himself booked as well. But United, Spurs, Newcastle, Palace are the next 4. They're 4 good teams that will give Everton a game. So, I think with that, that's quite interesting. So I've been looking for a escape from Caicedo for quite a while. And I didn't realise Gay was that cheap.
You could make that move on Sunday.
Yeah.
If you want to. I don't think that makes sense. I think you'd wait one more. You'd leave Caicedo in case something happened to Raya.
Yeah.
And you've still got the coverage for the Friday night. But I think after that, you could go down to Gay. Again, you could hold on one more. You could hold Caicedo at to Forest. You never know. It might even be an attacking return in that.
Yeah, I mean, if I go that far,
then go to Gay.
We're on the World Cup's doorstep, and would I bother using a transfer for Caicedo to Gay? Probably not.
You've got plenty of spares. So,
yeah, that's also true.
It wouldn't be the worst. I think, arguably, you want a solution with Caicedo, but I'm not sure. Now you're right at this Friday night game. You'd be so sick if you sold him and then something happened to Raya in the build-up to Friday night or something, mate. Unless, of course, you're looking at going, say, for a Dunk or Trossard or Tony or something like that instead. Jared Bowen, Suj, shots here, and he looked much, much better, didn't he?
Yeah.
At the weekend. His ownership is 4.7% in the top 1,000. Great little differential. I wonder if people will look at him this Sunday
you and me, mate,
as well.
But we're not in the top 1,000.
We're not. No, we're not. I mean, look, he's not had a great season so far, but he looked really back on it against Wolves, in my opinion. He's one of them that's certainly in contention, I think, for captaincy on Sunday. And I just wondered, it does feel like there's so much focus for Zaha, if it just means that people will miss Bowen. And it's worth saying, I think a lot will come back for the Monday night game against Bournemouth on Monday the 24th. He's also, I think, a player that's potentially expendable after Sunday. So there is a case to say, Suj, that you could make the move like Bowen to Watkins, for example, if you really want to take advantage of the fact that Forest looks shit defensively. I don't like that move, by the way, for Ollie Watkins, because I think he's in danger of losing his place. Which really puts me off all of the attacking Villa options. Ollie Watkins, for the record, is 9 million, so he's 0.6 cheaper than Jared Bowen if you're on, but you could make the move, captain Watkins against Forest if he's in the team. Then you've got Chelsea, Fulham, Brentford, and you go back for Bowen Monday the 24th. It's an okay run. The Chelsea fixture is at home as well, but I think, he's got Ings and I think Cameron Archer. He's leaning on a little bit of pressure now. I'm not keen on Ollie Watkins' move. If he's in the team, he's obviously a very viable option for Monday night himself, but I think it could be a problem in forthcoming game weeks. Mm-hmm. For Wolves, lots of passing numbers for them, which include Ruben Neves, obviously played sweeper. We can't guarantee that's going to happen again, as obviously the manager has been sacked and he is, of course, suspended for the trip to Chelsea this weekend after a 5th booking. It's West Ham, a little bit like Tottenham. It's not unusual for, particularly if West Ham or Tottenham are winning, for other teams' players to hit passing tiers. Yeah, it's common. A couple of interesting ones from the Manchester derby. Lisandro Martinez, passing tier. Now, the game became very... to be honest, it was almost played like a friendly in the second half, wasn't it? City took their foot off the pedal. But that's still quite impressive. It's worth saying that in spite of those passing tier, he still returned a -1. 8.3, I couldn't make the case for him, I think, over the likes of Dunk, Fofana, Saliba, or cheaper. Yeah, but it's an interesting one that I picked out. Akanji was the only Manchester City player to hit passing tier at the weekend. I'm still concerned about this centre-back problem, and I have sympathy for those who went for Cole Walker, and he might even be back as early as tonight. We don't know at the moment, but obviously a lot went for him at the weekend. He came off early and got an injury. Cancelo just short of passes, 55. Aki, 58. Bernardo Silva got 49. Phil Foden, Suj, do you want to have a guess at his ownership in the top 1,000?
Open in front of me, 24.7%.
It's quite high, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm surprised by that.
Mate, I was worried. I was confused why I had a rank drop.
That's
off
why.
Captaining Haaland, and now we know. Even Kanji's like a 10% ownership, and he's like what I'd consider fringe. I mean, KDB 45.9. So I think a lot of people are in on City.
I think part of the strategy and thinking at the weekend was about pace, which is why Aki played with Akanji. At the moment, I think Akanji's got favouritism.
Yeah.
But you've still got Stones, Laporte and Diaz sitting there.
You can't trust... I don't know which pundit it was on the radio, but or even on the telly. Someone was saying it's like they've bought Van Dijk for 15 million is what they described Akanji as. I'm like, maybe that's a little bit...
It's a stretch.
Hyperbole, but he's not
doing well.
Bad at all, is he?
No, he looks good.
Paid a good price for him.
He looks good. I wouldn't be keen, I don't think, to go in at this stage. Would you look at someone like him and go, he's worth paying the extra over Dunk? He might only play in, say, I don't know, 4 in 6. No, it's not for me at the moment. And they are conceding odds and sods as well. And the passing numbers ain't great from that fixture. I know he's hit it. He's hit 71s. He's just hit passing tier 2. 8 million from Man City centre-back feels like a steal. I just think it's too complicated at the moment, personally. Leeds Villa, if anyone suffered, yay. Watkins did actually hit shot tier at the weekend. Philip Coutinho also hit shot tier 1. Tyler Adams missed out on tiers for the first time this season when quite a few went and bought him, I think, on Sunday. And there were a few tiers for Leicester, including save points for Danny Ward on Monday night. There were shot tiers for Maddison, Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy. For Forest, Neco Williams was obviously substituted at half-time. 9 completed passes, 2 tackles. The other concern, of course, with Williams, which is part why I've considered this Dunk Saturday move, is does Williams even stay in the team? What Cooper said after the game suggested to me that he took him off because he was on a booking and they couldn't afford to go down to 10 men. So I think he will be in the team Monday night. You and I both own him, Suj. What's the thinking if we get to Monday night and Neco Williams doesn't start?
What do we know on Kamara? Boubacar Kamara.
He won't play before the World Cup, mate. It's done.
So that's off the table.
Yep. Well, extremely unlikely anyway. This mid-December is what they're estimating.
Probably drive up to Nottingham and punch him in the face.
Who?
Neco Williams.
You might be better off punching Serge Aurier so he gets in the team, Serge.
Yeah, if he's not in the team, I'm not going to make a transfer to give me captaincy coverage for the game. I'll let it go.
Who's your keeper?
David Raya. No, I'm not going to Martinez.
So you can't do that. Well, I was going to say Henderson as well.
Yeah, no, it's not for me going to Forest. Now, I'll let it go and I'll be off Williams quick as a flash, mate.
I still think with Villa, Wolves, Brighton, there's a 3-for-1, effective 4-for-1. Is there something there you could gamble? Like, can you even look for a differential where you'd go for a Lingard or a Morgan Gibbs-White? I was very surprised that Freuler wasn't involved on Monday night. I don't know if did he come on a sub, Remo Freuler? Yeah, he came on at half-time. I was surprised he didn't start because I'd mentioned him last week, 6.5. Would you punt Awoniyi up front, 7 million? I don't think you do you? It's a headache. And I'm not in love with the Villa outfield options at all. I think Watkins would be the one. I've no interest in going for the likes of Coutinho or even Buendia if he's in the team, or Leon Bailey, 7.4. Doesn't appeal. But I think there are routes, like I even mentioned that Bowen to Watkins move. Like, there are routes where I think for certain people you really should look at it, because I think there are obvious places to come back off for both teams. It's not like you're going to get stuck with them for a while. So I think for me, I'd consider the keeper move, but it doesn't work for you.
Nah.
I think likely is, Neco Williams captain, and I think I'm leaning towards just bin him straight away.
Captaincy this weekend coming?
Saturday, Haaland.
Easy.
Yeah. It's interesting because there are a few other alternatives, like Maddison at Bournemouth, for example. The way he played on Monday night was great. It will certainly get interest, but I don't know how you look beyond Haaland at the moment. My thoughts on Cancelo as well, by the way, in terms of keeping him, is some point here Haaland may get a rest. And the chances are when he does, Cancelo will be the best captaincy option. That's how it feels to me at the moment. Unless you've got the likes of De Bruyne or Foden.
Yeah,
but I feel like having that secondary City option with the final 4 fixtures they've got is still probably the right play. Sunday, I've got it bust on Mo at the moment, away to Arsenal. And that's despite the fact I think Arsenal will beat Liverpool. But I think that makes the 3 choices for me if I buy Wilfried Zaha would be Salah, Bowen, Zaha, really. I haven't got Jesus. I wouldn't captain Saliba. I think Jesus would be worthy of the running. And I think even if someone's got the likes of Marcus Rashford, possibly, away to Everton on Sunday night, it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, might be an option as well. I think, to be honest, Suj, it's a close enough call that the sensible play for me, I think, will be to go with the ownership.
I've got Bowen and Jesus at the moment. Should I buy Zaha, which is likely on the cards, then I've got that option as well. I'm favouring Bowen over Jesus at the moment.
If I had Jesus, I think I captain Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Liverpool got to sort themselves out defensively at some point.
Well, it did change. I didn't watch the game last night because I was watching Spurs, but they changed last night. They went to a 4-2-3-1, although Klopp was claiming it was a 4-4-2, but looking at it this morning, it looks very much like a 4-2-3-1. So whether that will give them any greater solidity, I don't know. Playing Rangers with respect to them and then going to Arsenal on Sunday, two different things at the moment. So I don't know what we can lean into. I think Jesus' ownership is still absolutely massive, isn't it? So if again, I think it's a close enough call where I would go with the ownership. He's still in 58.2% of the top 1,000, whereas you take Salah, for example, 22.8. Who would have thought Mo Salah would be that low?
Wow.
But he's probably going to be... I'm not convinced that Zaha's going to jump above Salah's number or have the captaincy number to go with it at the weekend. He's in 10.7% currently, Zaha. Might do. But I still think it's the capability of Salah. I think that's the way I'll go.
Monday, Neco Williams.
Yeah, I think the best call for captaincy Monday night will be Dean Henderson. I do think Forest will beat them. I think Villa are shocking at the moment. I think they might change manager. The atmosphere will be good at Forest. The atmosphere is good there anyway. I feel like it's just the sort of game I feel like I've seen on Monday night so many times over the years. Mid-table team doing not a lot, not going to challenge for Europe, not under threat of relegation, go to a team that's in banging trouble and get beat 1-0. I feel like I've seen that game so many times, Suj. And that's part why the thinking is, yeah, okay, one more chance for Neco Williams.
Cool.
That's it, I think. You want to do some cues?
We shall. Thank you for sending your questions in on Twitter. James's account is at Planet FPL Pod. That's where we post the tweet asking for questions. If you're wondering how you can ask them, that's where to do it. We'll rattle through some of these because I think we've probably covered a fair few. Tielemans or Dyer to Zaha on Sunday. Already owns Maddo.
Who's asking?
Tom, FPL Physio.
That's close. Do you want Tielemans and Maddison long term? I'd argue. I think it's probably sell Tielemans. I think, especially if you've got Maddison. It's close call that. Yeah, I think sell Tielemans.
Dave, simple goal. What are your goals for rank and transfers left at World Cup? Love you both. We love you too, Dave.
Love you too, Dave. Dave's not winning it this year. Hey, Dave, love you, mate. Transfers, I think I could well be down to 30, maybe even 29 possibly, I think. Rank, I'm not overly fussed about that, to be honest. I wouldn't have a set target of where I've got to be. I mean, for me, I'm going to be unusually for me, going to have used more than the majority of people. So I guess from my perspective, I really should be in the top 1,000 by that point. I would like to be in it quicker. I mean, what's my target? Top 100. But it would depend a lot on, Jared Bowen at the moment is a great differential, but a lot will probably buy Monday 24th. If he gets me another haul against Fulham at the weekend, that sort of thing is going to help, isn't it?
I'm looking at 42 transfers, so using five between now and the World Cup. And if that gets me to...
42 left for what?
If that gets me to 2,000...
22 game week.
Somewhere between 3,000, definitely higher than 3,000. If my rank starts with a 2,000 and something, that'll be fine. I'll need a couple of good captaincy hits from that, though, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think... somewhere less than 3,000 with 42 transfers left is my
I feel like the top end of the game, and obviously with each passing week, we're getting more towards a finalised understanding of what the actual league physically looks like. The current leader is on 865 points currently. I'm on 721. This is 140 points.
680.
Which, and admittedly, everybody owns Erling Haaland, but it's just Erling Haaland going mental 3 times, isn't it? You just need it to be other players. Those things like the Maddison haul certainly helps. I mean, 140 points is definitely catchable. Admittedly, there's another 2,000 people in between who are all thinking the same thing, but it doesn't look like it's a drift to me.
Yep.
Yeah, no.
FPL Stefan Barnes. Last week I asked about bringing Williams in for Saliba for captaincy for an effective 5-for-1. Do you want to revise your answer? It's probably still the right thing to do, but fuck.
The problem with that is Brighton away and Liverpool at home, based on what we've seen of Forest over the last few games, and look, they may have a different manager by Monday, which is unfortunate on Steve Cooper, but it may be what they do. But you'd look at particularly Brighton away and Liverpool at home and think it could be minuses, is the reality. So the effective 5-1, yeah, he's got -1 point over the last 4 games. So I probably wouldn't look at it that far. I'd almost argue because of those fixtures, if you want to do it, go 3-0. Go Williams at home to Villa, having Wolves away, go back to Saliba, Leeds away, arguably, rather than keep Williams for Brighton and Liverpool. And I realise that's one less fixture, but Saliba could get a 10-pointer at Leeds. Don't see Williams getting 10 points from Brighton away and Liverpool at home.
No. Should there be... Who's the best captain on Sunday? We've covered that kind of off. I don't think there's a right answer to that, to be honest with you. So there's a few good options for Sunday.
I think Sunday, Salah, definitely consideration. Even Van Dijk, if you've got... The Liverpool will have more of the ball. I say more of the ball. Will have more of the ball than what Arsenal have been used to against their opponents so far this season. United and Tottenham, the 2 big games Arsenal have had, have both played counter-attacking football. Liverpool aren't going to go and do that. So Liverpool could end up with a large weightage of possession at the weekend. We don't know. I wouldn't expect a clean sheet though. Bowen, Zaha, as I even said, Rashford, Jesus, Martinelli. There's lots of options for Sunday. Lots.
Should there be also, has both Neco Williams and Brennan Johnson, which would you captain on Monday if you had the 2? Assuming both are playing.
Honestly, Neco Williams. Johnson's the most owned, by the way, by quite comfortably in terms of the ownership from the Forest players at the moment. I think Williams, though.
Okay.
I genuinely can see Forest winning that game 1-0.
Ryan wants to know what your strategy is for blank game week 12. He's got 2 City, Cancelo and Haaland. I've got 3, including Rodri, and 2 Arsenal, Jesus and Martinelli, and I've got 1 in Jesus. But, yeah. Have you got any particular strategy or just...
For that night, strategy is to captain Mo Salah.
But not to come off them and go back and hokey-cokey in any particular way.
No, I think, especially in City's case, look, City play Liverpool away on the Sunday, Brighton away on the Saturday. We even discussed this either last week or the week before, that there is even a case to sell Haaland on Sunday. You miss Liverpool away and you'll have to come back to him on Saturday, the 22nd, for Brighton at home probably. But in between that period, there are a few teams where you can get 3-for-1s, effective 4-for-1s, which you may want to look at. And I think it's the sort of thing you should look at, Suj. To try and do something different with the transfers you've got left. You know, can you make a big play to go from Haaland to, I don't know, have you got Mo, for example? I mean, I'd consider that. You then get Salah. You could, in effect, go Salah away to Arsenal, captain. You've got Man City, which, as I've said numerous times, he always burns up Cancelo. West Ham at home, potential captaincy, Wednesday 19th. Then you could arguably keep. Or you work something else, chain it in a different way, for example. I think you should consider that.
What's your thoughts on...
But generally, I'm not doing... Like, Cancelo and Haaland are staying for me. Saliba is going to stay.
Jay wants to know the best replacement for Henderson after the Villa game. Dean Henderson, obviously.
Anyone. No, reality is I think you do keep for Wolves away. Unless you're without captaincy for Friday night. Not overly keen on Raya or Sanchez as best. I'd definitely better outfield options, I think, at Brighton at the moment, particularly. Raya I wouldn't hate, but I think your preference would be to go into Brighton at the moment now. So I think you keep for Wolves, and then you're looking at what do you want elsewhere. The case to say one option might be Flappy, arguably. Get him in for Southampton away Sunday 16th. Okay, yes, there's Liverpool. It's not great. That will cover you the captaincy Monday 24th against Bournemouth. Then it's United, Palace, Leicester. It's not a terrible run. There's a couple of difficult away trips in there, but it's 3 good home games, including one which will arguably offer you a captaincy. So Flappy, I think. You could also go to Nick Pope on that Sunday as well. It's not going to give you captaincy, but he's the most owned keeper in the game at the moment. You could go to Edison that day. You could go to Alisson that day. There's lots of different options.
Grant wants to know or Danny actually wants to know, with Manchester United playing on the last day from most game weeks from now until the World Cup, which assets are you looking at? So none?
Yeah, it's probably none.
I'm not looking at any.
I think. I described it when we had the November fixtures as United play West Ham at home Sunday 30th. Arsenal play Nottingham Forest at home that day. And I described that day as probably the last day for transfers. So depending on what you have, I mean, if suddenly I'm sitting there with Dunk, Martinez, Paulinho and Mitrovic as potential coverage for Sunday 13th, I have no requirement for a Manchester United player. I'm not overly interested, to be honest. Everton, Newcastle, Tottenham, Chelsea, West Ham's the next 5. Oh, don't look at that and think any of them are easy.
Graham Craig wants to go from Ndidi to Solly March and Alisson to Fabianski.
Solly March? I wouldn't, do you know what? I'll put my hands up and say I wouldn't even know what price he was, to tell you the truth, Suj. I'm going to have a little look for you now. Solly March is 6.9.
Cheap.
It is.
Is he going to play in De Zerbi's setup?
6.9. I can only think like 0.5 cheaper than McAllister, never mind the 1 million cheaper than, say, Trossard or Dunk. I can only think that that's got to be a money thing.
Okay.
What's the potential move considered, Suj?
It was Ndidi.
Ndidi to March.
That allows, and Alisson to Fabianski.
No, I'm not high on that. I mean, Alisson Fabianski, presumably it's nothing to do with it, because Fabianski's cheaper anyway. Solly March, for me, no.
Okay. We'll give the last question of the show, James, the FF Thinker. Would you take Perisic out for Dunk on Saturday with no fixture gain, but an effective 4, maybe 5 for 2 with 2 captaincies, and then move out again on the 19th of October to anyone? He reckons 1 clean sheet and 3 passing tiers makes 32 points in that time. Perisic played right back again yesterday, didn't he?
No, left.
Oh, left back.
But I think it might be right.
Emerson played.
I think, judging by Conte's somewhat strange comments about Matt Doherty on Tuesday, I'm guessing it will be Perisic.
Is it a bit of one of those funny modes, Conte? He seems like you got a switch and you flip him into like a weird mode for a little while and then back to normal.
Yeah. He's so fucking volatile, honestly. Yeah. We do. I think us at Spurs, people on the outside are like, he can't be. I think us at Spurs are just like, oh, he's on one again. Yeah. He'll be all right next week. Yeah. But yeah, those comments would, and the fact Doherty, he didn't even get on last night. So he's obviously short of fitness, which. The thing is, Conte said a couple of weeks ago, he said, Doherty's going to play for Ireland. I can count on him on the other side. And then he made this bizarre comment on Tuesday. As I mentioned on other pods, I'd like to see Jed Spence get the chance properly. But I'm going to guess it's going to be Perisic and Sessegnon on Saturday at Brighton. The logical answer really is hold your horses and wait for the Friday night game is the logical answer, really.
Okie dokie. Listeners, thank you so much for sending in your questions. Good luck with your week with Sky Fantasy Football as well. We'll be back at you tomorrow. We've got Clash of the Correspondents. James, you are joined by
McTavish, an FPL tactician for Palace versus Leeds.
Lovely jubbly. And of course, there's a stream on Friday, the Not Deadline stream. Yeah, James is travelling to Brighton, trying to work his way down there somehow on Saturday.
On a coach, and I'm not happy about it.
No, get your headphones in and listen to another pod.
It's that, or listen to my dad, isn't it? So it'd be headphones probably.
Buy him some headphones. Listeners, if you do enjoy Sky Fantasy Football, want to join a community of very active managers, I'll give our Patreon a plug, patreon.com/Planet FPL. We'd love to have you. It's the start of the month and our Slack channel is very active. There's a planner that you can use to help you map out your transfers and all sorts of stuff like that too. But other than that, thank you for joining. Hope you enjoyed the show and we'll be back at you tomorrow. Ciao for now.
Thanks everyone. Play it your way. Cue music please, man child.